Imagine waking up one morning and hearing a voice you don't recognize, yet somehow it feels more familiar than your own. A whisper, soft but urgent, echoing through the quiet spaces of your mind. It says only two words: it's time. And in that moment, a shiver runs through you. Not of fear, but of recognition. Because deep down, you already know that voice belongs to you. Not the you of yesterday. Not the you of this moment. But the version of you who already lives the life you've been longing for. What if that whisper wasn't just your imagination? What if it was a message traveling backward through time? A signal from your future self, telling you that your moment has arrived? You see, life often feels like a long waiting room. We wait for opportunities, for clarity, for the right moment. But what if the waiting is an illusion? What if the sign you've been asking for has already been sent, and it came in the form of that subtle, persistent whisper? Every person at some point has felt that strange pull, that moment of déjà vu where the air feels heavy with meaning. Maybe you've walked into a place and felt like you had already been there. Maybe you've met someone new, yet it felt like you were reconnecting with an old friend. Or perhaps you've had a sudden wave of conviction without any logical reason that you are on the brink of something extraordinary. These moments aren't accidents. They are transmissions, fragments of your future self slipping into the now, like echoes bouncing backward through the corridors of time. Think about the restless energy that sometimes rises inside you, the feeling that there's more waiting for you, even if you can't put it into words. The quiet frustration of knowing that your current reality doesn't match the life you see in your mind's eye. That restlessness is not failure. It is proof that your inner compass is working. It's your future self knocking on the door of your awareness, reminding you that you weren't meant to settle here. You weren't meant to shrink into patterns that keep you small. That whisper, the one you've ignored 1,000 times, keeps repeating itself because it knows you are closer than you think. If you've ever asked the universe for a sign, pause for a moment and consider this. What if the sign isn't outside you? What if the very longing you feel, the ache for change, the strange coincidences, the subtle nudges, are the sign? The universe doesn't always speak in lightning bolts or booming voices. More often it speaks in whispers. It slips clues into the fabric of your days. A conversation that resonates. A book that falls open to the exact page you needed. A dream that refuses to fade in the morning. And the reason you notice them is because your future self has already planted them there. Think of your life like a vast field of radio waves. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, sends out a signal. But signals don't just move forward. They ripple outward in all directions. And some of them fold back toward you, like an echo returning from the mountains. Your future self is broadcasting on a frequency you've already started to pick up. That feeling of alignment, that spark of clarity, is not random. It's resonance. Just as a tuning fork vibrates when another fork nearby strikes the same note, your energy vibrates when your future self is close. This is why some days feel charged with electricity. Why you sometimes feel like you're meant for more, even if nothing external has changed. Because on those days, the frequency of who you're becoming and the frequency of who you are now briefly match, and the future leaks into the present. But here's the challenge. Most people ignore the whisper. They dismiss it as daydreaming, or worse, as foolish hope. They convince themselves it's safer to wait, to stay small, to cling to the known. And yet the whisper never goes away, because it can't. It's not a random voice. It's the echo of your own destiny, refusing to be silenced. Ask yourself honestly, how many times have you heard that inner call? How many times have you felt that gentle pressure in your chest, that sense that you're standing at the edge of something greater? And how many times have you brushed it aside because the timing didn't seem right? What if the timing is now? Here's the question I want you to carry. What if the future you've been chasing is actually chasing you? Pause with that. What if you don't have to get there? What if it's already trying to meet you halfway? This is why the whisper feels urgent. Because the longer you wait, the more distance you create. But the moment you lean in, the moment you say, "Yes, I hear you," something remarkable happens. The gap between who you are and who you're meant to be begins to collapse. So how do you respond to the whisper? Not by leaping into massive action, not by reinventing your life overnight. The first step is much simpler. You acknowledge it. You pause, breathe, and say, "I hear you." This act of acknowledgement shifts your inner landscape. It turns the whisper into a dialogue. It lets your future self know you are paying attention, that you are willing to listen. And when you begin listening, the messages become clearer. The synchronicities grow louder. The path begins to illuminate itself. Imagine standing in a dark forest with only a faint light in the distance. You don't need the whole path illuminated. You only need to take one step toward the glow. That glow is the whisper. It doesn't give you the full map. It gives you enough light for the next step. And here's the secret. Every time you follow it, the light grows brighter. The whisper is not here to tease you. It's not here to frustrate you. It is your lifeline, a signal from the version of you who has already made it through. And if you lean in, if you pay attention, you'll discover that the guidance you've been searching for has always been inside you. Now, the question becomes, how do you tune into that signal consistently? How do you move from catching faint echoes to hearing your future self with crystal clarity? Right now, in this very breath, you hold the power to align with a version of yourself who has already crossed the threshold, who already lives with confidence, clarity, and freedom. You're not waiting to become that version. You're already tuning into them, like a radio dial searching for the perfect frequency. The only question is, are you willing to listen closely enough to lock onto the signal? Think of your life as a vast soundscape. Around you, countless stations are broadcasting all at once. Stations of doubt, fear, worry, but also of joy, possibility, and expansion. Most people unconsciously tune into the stations that match their current emotions. If they feel anxious, they pick up the frequency of anxiety. If they feel hopeful, they pick up the frequency of hope. But here's the breakthrough. You're not stuck with the station you've been listening to. You can choose to shift the dial. And when you do, you begin to receive the broadcast of your future self. That future version of you is transmitting on a higher channel. They live in gratitude, confidence, and flow. They carry wisdom about decisions you haven't made yet, doors you haven't opened, and opportunities you haven't seen. But their frequency is real and it's available if you're willing to tune in. Here's the secret most people miss. Your emotions are not random moods. They're the tuning dial of your reality. Joy, love, curiosity. These emotions lift you toward the channel of your future self. Fear, guilt, and doubt pull you toward the static of the past. Every moment you're adjusting the dial, often without even knowing it. So the next time you feel a spark of gratitude, don't dismiss it as small. Notice it, expand it, because that spark is the exact frequency your future self uses to reach you. How do you strengthen this connection? Not through force, but through awareness. Here are 3 simple practices to begin tuning in. When you wake, don't rush to your phone or your tasks. Instead, sit quietly even for 2 minutes and ask, what would my future self want me to feel today? This single question sets the tone of your dial. Place your hand on your chest. Inhale slowly, imagining light entering your heart. Exhale as though you're sending light outward, broadcasting it into the world. This exercise isn't just calming, it's aligning. It teaches your body to vibrate at the frequency of your future self. Throughout the day, pause and name one thing you're grateful for in the exact moment. Gratitude shifts your energy faster than almost anything else. It is one of the purest signals your future self uses to guide you. Think of it this way. The universe isn't responding to your words. It's responding to your frequency. You can say affirmations all day, but if your energy is tuned to doubt, the message doesn't carry. But the moment your emotions and your intention align, the transmission becomes crystal clear. This is why sometimes, even small rituals feel powerful. Lighting a candle, writing in a journal, or pausing to breathe. All of these aren't about the act itself, but about what it tunes you into. At first, tuning in may feel fragile. One day you feel aligned, the next you feel lost again. Don't be discouraged. Every frequency takes practice to stabilize. Just as a musician practices hitting the right notes until it becomes second nature, you are learning to hold the vibration of your future self until it becomes your default state. And here's the shift you'll notice. At first, you'll seek evidence outside you. Opportunities, signs, synchronicities. But as you tune in more consistently, you'll feel the shift within you first. The calm, the clarity, the quiet certainty. That inner knowing is more real than any external confirmation. Here's the most liberating truth. Your future self isn't sitting far away, waiting for you to catch up. They are leaning toward you right now, closing the distance, reaching through the invisible field of time to meet you. Every time you align with gratitude, every time you breathe into your heart, every time you act as if you are already that version of yourself, you collapse the distance between you. This is why some days feel like magic, why conversations flow, why opportunities appear, why synchronicities line up. It's not luck, it's resonance. Picture yourself standing near a giant radio tower. The closer you are, the clearer the signal becomes. When you drift away, the message fades into static. But the tower itself never stops broadcasting. Your future self is that tower. The message is always being sent. The only variable is how close you allow yourself to stand. Do you step near with gratitude, with trust, with openness? Or do you step away with doubt and fear? The choice is always yours. Imagine what happens when you hold that alignment for longer stretches. Decisions feel lighter, conversations open new doors, ideas arrive effortlessly. It's as though life itself rearranges around you, not because the world outside suddenly changed, but because your frequency changed, and reality mirrored it back. This is the state athletes call flow. The state artists describe as being in the zone. But for you, it's not limited to one moment. It becomes a way of being. Look back on your own life. Haven't there been moments when things fell into place? In ways you couldn't have planned? When one small choice led to a cascade of opportunities? That wasn't random. That was alignment in action. Proof that when you tune in, the universe tunes in with you. You've now learned how to listen to the whisper and how to begin tuning into the signal. But this isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning. Because the final step isn't just hearing the broadcast. It's living it. In other words, how do you act today as though your future self is already here? How do you embody the energy of the life you've been reaching for so that it's not just something you tune into occasionally, but something you live from constantly? What if the secret to becoming your future self isn't about chasing something far away, but about living today as if it's already here? Imagine walking into every room, speaking every word, and making every choice, as if the version of you who has already succeeded was guiding your every move. The truth is, the more you act as though your future is present, the faster it becomes real. Up until now, we've been listening for the whisper and learning how to tune into it. But here's the deeper invitation. Don't just hear the signal, embody it. Your future self doesn't want to be admired from a distance. They want to be lived now. Think of it this way. Every choice you make is either a step toward your past or a step toward your future. When you decide with fear, you reinforce the past. When you decide with courage and clarity, you step into the future that's already waiting for you. Here's a question that can change everything. If my future self were already here, what would they choose right now? Ask it before you send a message, before you walk into a meeting, before you face a challenge. That single pause shifts your energy. It collapses the gap between who you are and who you are becoming. And what you'll notice is that your choices begin to carry a new weight. They aren't driven by fear of loss, but by trust and expansion. They aren't reactions. They're declarations of who you've decided to be. Living from the future doesn't mean making massive, unrealistic changes overnight. It means embodying small shifts that ripple outward. Conversations. Speak with the calm confidence of someone who already knows their worth. Work. Approach tasks as though they're opportunities, not burdens. Relationships. Show up with presence, as if you already embody the love and patience your future self has mastered. It's these subtle changes that begin to alter your reality. Because when you act as though it's already real, the world around you starts to adjust accordingly. Life is a mirror. It reflects not what you wish for, but what you embody. When you carry yourself as the person you want to become, people respond differently. Opportunities appear that match your energy. Situations shift because your presence has shifted. Ask yourself, how does my future self walk into a room? How do they carry themselves? How do they respond under pressure? The more you practice this embodiment, the less it feels like pretending, and the more it feels like remembering who you truly are. Here's the deeper truth. The gap between you and your future self isn't about time, it's about alignment. The moment you begin living from that energy, you're no longer becoming, you are. Think of a river. You can either fight against the current of who you're meant to be, or you can turn and flow with it. Living from the future now is choosing to flow. It's saying, I no longer resist. I no longer wait. I step in. When you begin embodying your future self, you'll notice something incredible. The world responds as if you've already changed. People will treat you differently. Circumstances will align in your favor. Synchronicities will multiply. Why? Because reality doesn't wait for you to arrive. It mirrors the energy you bring into it. And when you embody your future self, reality has no choice but to rearrange itself around you. Of course, this requires courage. It means letting go of the old story. You've been telling yourself that you're not ready, not worthy, not capable. It means acting as though those doubts have already dissolved. Your future self isn't weighed down by hesitation. They don't waste energy wondering if they're enough. They move, they speak, they create from a place of certainty. And when you borrow even a fraction of that certainty today, you unlock momentum that can carry you forward in ways logic could never explain. Think back to times when you acted boldly, even if you were uncertain. Didn't the world rise to meet you? Didn't doors open, people appear, or opportunities unfold when you decided to show up fully? That wasn't coincidence. That was a glimpse of what happens when you embody your future self. The present moment is the only place transformation can happen, and when you choose to embody your future now, the proof shows up. Not in some distant tomorrow, but right here. Picture this. You wake tomorrow, and instead of rushing into autopilot, you pause. You breathe deeply, and before you act, you ask, what would my future self do? You move through the day with calm assurance. You speak words that uplift rather than diminish. You notice synchronicities that confirm you're on the right path. Over days and weeks, this becomes your new normal. You no longer chase signs, you create them. You no longer wonder if you're aligned. You feel it in your bones. And the life you once imagined begins to take shape around you. Not because it was created outside, but because it was created within. Here's the greatest revelation. When you live as your future self now, time collapses. The distance between someday and today dissolves. You're no longer waiting for a breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. This is the secret mystics, visionaries, and creators have always known. Reality bends to the energy you bring to it, and the moment you embody the future, you pull it into the present. So, let this truth settle into your heart. Your future doesn't begin tomorrow. It doesn't wait for the perfect conditions, the right people, or the ideal circumstances. It begins now, in this breath, this choice, this moment. The whisper you've been hearing, it's not a tease. It's a reminder. The tuning you've practiced, it wasn't preparation, it was alignment. And now the final step is yours to take. Live from the future now. When you do, you'll discover that the life you've been reaching for has been reaching for you all along. And in this union, between who you are and who you're becoming, everything changes. And if this message resonated with you, if you felt that whisper, that spark, that pull toward the life you know is already waiting for you, then take one more aligned step right now. Subscribe to this channel so these reminders keep reaching you at the exact moment you need them. Like this video to affirm to yourself and to the universe that you are ready to live from your future now, and share it with someone you care about, because their future self may be whispering too, and your action could be the sign they've been waiting for. Remember, you are not chasing your future. You are living it, and every choice you make brings it closer.